Hello and welcome to another My Aspie Marriage video. Just going to call it that because it's quicker. And please excuse my not posting regularly. We had a long weekend and that has put everything off kilter. So I'm a little bit out of whack, catching up with appointments and such, so I haven't had time to film. Around the time that we saw Counsellor Deb, and she had mentioned that hubby was being verbally abusive, I had started to research abusive relationships in general. I'd sort of started to have an inkling that that was possibly what was going on. Now, I don't think my husband is abusive because he's autistic, although I did have a sort of thought process, I guess, when I found out that he was autistic and that they're really blunt and say hurtful things. I thought maybe that's why he's saying all these blunt and hurtful things, because he is mostly just verbally abusive. And by that I mean he just says blunt and really awful, hurtful things. I don't know the mindset behind what he's saying or anything like that. And there are neurotypicals who are abusive as well, so it's clearly not an autistic trait. And I've spoken to numerous women whose husbands aren't like mine, although I have spoken to other women whose husbands are like mine, and by that I mean they're bullies. They try to, railroad you, their horns and such. They try to just railroad you into doing what it is that they want. Anyway, I digress. I want to talk about the 6 signs that your partner may be abusive. And I say partner because, of course, women can be abusive as well. It's not just a male thing. So number 1, controlling. My husband isn't controlling in that he will try to control my friends or who I can see or anything like that. He's more than happy for me to say, I'm going to do dance classes, I'm going to join a gym, I'm going to start yoga, I'm going to do Pilates, I'm going to go out with drinks with the girls. He has no problem with that. He doesn't begrudge what I'm wearing. He doesn't say, hey, how come you've got lipstick on? Who are you going out to see? He's not like that at all. He is more than happy for me to have a social life outside of him. He is controlling in the sense that he wants me to do everything his way. And he has admitted this. About a year or so ago, he admitted to me that he'd been a bully, trying to bully me into doing everything his way. And I said to him, that's a very apt description, I would say. That's exactly how it's been feeling. And after he said it, he said he regretted it because he felt I was going to use it against him. But I said to him, I don't really understand what you mean by that, because I don't feel like I use much of anything against you. However, when we did talk to the counsellor and I raised that, he did sort of, give me a look. And I think that's what he means. I think he means me repeating it is me using it against him, which I don't agree. I wasn't using it to throw him under the bus or to say, look what an a-hole he is. I was just expressing to the counsel that he had used this specific term to describe how he was treating me. Anyway, he controls everything I do. I have to do everything his way or else he will crack the shits. That's basically how it works. He is getting better as the years go by. He's getting less controlling, he's getting less insistent that I do it his way. And his control stems from fear. He has this idea that if I just do everything his way, nothing bad will happen. So if I just stack the dishwasher the way that he wants, there won't be any dirty dishes. If I just have the children do their schoolwork and their homework and their study and blah, 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 the way that he wants, they won't fail on a test. So they're not catastrophic things that are going to happen if I don't do something his way. but he will kind of react like it is. He'll kind of react like it's the end of the world because I didn't do it the way that he wanted. So he is controlling in that sense. Number 2, mind games. I'm not really sure this applies to him. He has done things that are kind of, messing with your head. A little bit of gaslighting and making you feel crazy. I mean, he tells me I'm crazy. He has certainly said that before. But I don't think that it's really a case of, how do I say this without sounding like I'm putting him down for not being bright? It's not really where I'm getting at. However, I feel like in order to play mind games, you have to have a certain switched onness going on. You have to understand how human emotions work and how the mind works and how mixing the two together, emotions and thought, create crazy making. And I don't think he is at that kind of level of thinking. And maybe he's too sweet to be that level of thinking, because I don't find that he's a mind game person per se. However, as I mentioned, he does gaslight. He will try to tell me that something he's done didn't happen. Maybe that's a mind game. Comment below if you think so. He will often say something offensive, and when I call him up on it, why did you say that? He will literally just deny it. I didn't say that. And I'm there thinking, wish we had cameras in the house because I could play it back to you. You most certainly did say that. And then that'll go on for a little while because I'll keep asking him why he said it. He'll deny, and then he'll go to the next stage and the next stage and the next stage until eventually he admits, yes, I said it and it was deliberate. So perhaps that's mind games. But that's as mind gamey as he gets, if you understand what I'm saying. Number 3 is exclusion from major decisions. That has definitely happened. Obviously in the finance video I talked about that a little bit, where he went and purchased a car without actually getting like a mutual agreement between the two of us. He just went out and did it. He said he was going to, or he said he was thinking about it, next thing it's happening. He does do that a little bit, a number of times throughout the relationship. So for example, there was one time where he wanted some people to come and stay with us, and I was about to give birth. And I'd said to him, I really don't want anyone here at this point in time. And then I heard him on the phone and he was talking with them about how it's happening, and I was like, hey, no. And so I was pleading with him in the end, begging him, pleading, almost crying, like, do not have these people here. I'm going to give birth, I'm not going to want to entertain, I'm going to feel really tired, really crappy, really... And he went and did it anyway, paid for their tickets and had them stay over. So that was definitely an exclusion from major decisions. It was even a thing of, I'm telling you it's happening and you don't get a say. So he's done a lot of things like that. I call it railroading. He just kind of, I'm on the train tracks and he goes, bush, and it's happening. That's it. So there's definitely a little bit of that going on. Number 4, controlling money. This is a thing that he does, but not in a sense that he has it all and he doesn't like give me any or anything like this. After I had our first baby and I stopped working, he did get a little bit annoyed then with me spending anything, because all of a sudden we'd gone from dual income to one income, and you know, the end of the world was nigh. Even though we were not struggling, we were doing okay, we weren't rolling in the dough or anything, but we were managing. But the way that he was acting, it was like we were skint. Is that such a word? Anyway. So that was frustrating, and that was when, you know, he ended up giving me an allowance so that I could spend without him critiquing everything. But he's controlling in the sense that if I spend X amount, he'll have a bit of a fit. He'll have a yell about something. You know, like when I made that $1 operator call and he's going, "Why'd you make that operator call?" Blah, 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 blah. All these years later, I still can't do him very well. But anyway, I was thinking, it's just an operator call and it's only $1. What are you doing? So that's kind of controlling financially. That's yelling at me for spending $1. That's, for me, that's pretty extreme. I definitely felt like I didn't have a say in what I spent, or that I was going to be in trouble for spending. So I would say that he definitely did that. And again, I think that stems from a fear, as opposed to, say, somebody who is controlling their partner financially because they want actual control of their partner. Like, if I give you no money, you can't leave me. In my case, I think my husband is more based on fear. Like, we might need that dollar you spent on the operator call, or if you get away with it once, then you might just continually do it, and $1 leads to 1,000. So I don't think he's doing it in the sense that he really wants to dictate and control. He just doesn't want the shit to hit the fan. Number 5 is he makes threats, such as, "I'm going to leave you or divorce you." He does do that. But again, I don't think it's so much as a threat. I think it's more... So anybody who's neurotypical will understand this as I'm about to say it. For as long as I'm quiet in the relationship, he thinks all is well. There are no dramas. As soon as I raise an issue, he's like, "Oh, this relationship sucks and I can never please you, and we may as well get a divorce." That's what he says a lot of the time, anytime I raise an issue that he feels is overwhelming. So I don't raise issues very often, as you can imagine. When that's the reaction you get, you tend not to raise issues often. And as I mentioned in a previous video, picking your battles. I also pick when I'm going to have those battles, like time it, you know. So anytime I raise an issue, such as when he bought the sports car, and that really shitted me, pardon my French, and I didn't get a say, and I told him I didn't want it to happen, and he did it anyway, and that really annoyed me. He was threatening then that we should split up and he should leave and things like this. There was no sort of acknowledgement on his part that maybe he just shouldn't have gone ahead and done that without an agreement. It was just easier for him to say, "I may as well leave." So he does that as well. But again, I don't think it's the kind of threats that abusive people do. I think he's doing these things with a different motive. Number 6, they blame you. I must admit, yes, and more yes. Everything that goes on in our world is my fault. It just sounds so stupid to say that out loud, because it's an idiotic concept in my opinion. But everything is my fault. If one of our boys doesn't do well on a test, it's on me. The dishes in the dish rack or the dishwasher aren't clean exactly, my fault. If we go camping and we forget the matches, my fault. If we're about to leave the house but we have forgotten all of our hats and so we have to go back inside, my fault. So yeah, he does do a whack ton of blame. He doesn't compliment me because I'm annoying. He doesn't compliment me because I wear too much black. He doesn't flirt with me because of me. He doesn't communicate with me because of the stuff I want to talk about is boring to him. The whole thing is a blame game. And that stems from the fact that it is far easier to put it all onto somebody else especially if you're on the spectrum and you don't know you are, which was exactly the situation we were finding ourselves in. He didn't know that he was on any spectrum or anything. I mean, he literally didn't think there was anything wrong with him. In his mind, it was all wrong with me. And if only I was better and I wasn't the only one who felt that way and the only one who thinks that and blah, 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 blah. Crazy, insane, all of that annoying stuff, then all would be well in his mind. And of course, I'm looking at it from my perspective thinking, I think you're the one who's different. You're the one who's not like everybody else. But he doesn't feel abnormal, and this is a curious thing. If you're autistic and you never get told you're autistic, do you know that you're different? My son knows that he's different, but my partner didn't. Yeah, so I'm not really sure how it goes. Like, does my son know that he's different simply because he learned early on that he had autism? And my partner didn't know that he had it? Maybe he was just getting about life, just thinking that his way of thinking and being was just the same as everybody else. Not really sure. But anyway, he definitely was doing a lot of blaming. It was my fault. Everything that was going wrong was my fault because I wasn't following his direction, or I was raising issues, or I couldn't be pleased, or things like that. I mean, I'm sure you've heard it all before. So yeah, he did do a bit of that. But again, I'm not sure if it still fits in the same reasoning. So if you're abusive, like a really abusive person who, I don't know, punches your partner, for example, beats them up, things like that, the extreme type of abuse, those kinds of people might sort of hit you, for example, and then say, you made me do it. And I think that's kind of what they mean when they say blame. And I'm not sure that he fully fits into that sort of situation, although he does actually blame me for his meltdowns. And I wanted to talk about that as well, because meltdowns to me, they're kind of a sign of abuse. They're a type of abuse. There's not too many people that are having meltdowns who are being rainbows and sunshine when they're in the midst of that meltdown. If you're on the spectrum and you have meltdowns, let me know how they go for you. But I anticipate that you're losing your temper, that you are ranting and raving and yelling and kind of having a hissy fit. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that's how my husband melts down, goes crazy. Or there's shutdowns, and shutdowns are kind of a passive aggression. I'm going to go quiet and not talk to you for days because I don't want to, you know. That's kind of an aggression in itself. Obviously it's better if you say, look, I can't talk to you right now, I have to think for a while, and then you go quiet. That's obviously a better way to do it, because then you're not being passive aggressive. And having a meltdown because something didn't go your way, I can see that you're not meaning to be abusive, it's not the intent perhaps, but it's still awful to be on the receiving end of that. So as I was saying, he does blame me for that. I lost my temper because of you. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard him say that. This silly notion that I caused him to be angry, that I caused his rage, that my mere existence was so bad that I just caused him to rage. Now, considering all of the things that he has said and done to me, and I'm not losing my temper, I don't think temper is caused by outward things. Temper is a you thing, something going on with whoever it is that has that temper. People cannot make you that angry. And by that I mean, people make me super angry. It's not as though everybody's rainbows and sunshine in my world and I never feel aggro. But the fact that I can control it and not get angry, majority of the time at least, 98% of the time, my husband's anger issues are not me related. That's what I'm trying to say. Yet he always says that I'm the reason he's getting angry. You know, if only he didn't put that candle in the windowsill, I wouldn't be raging at you right now. As opposed to, maybe you just shouldn't be raging, you know, and just speak nicely and we'll deal with it like two level-headed adults. Yes, so that's the 6 signs of abuse. My husband's sort of in there a little bit and kind of not. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you're thinking about this. Does it resonate with you? Are you unfortunately one of the ones who is in an abusive relationship? NT or ND, it doesn't matter. I think you can have NTs who are abusive and Aspies who are abusive, and then those who aren't. I don't think autism makes you abusive. I don't think being neurotypical makes you abusive. I think perhaps it's a matter of upbringing and things that have led to where you are in your life at this point in time. So anyway, can you relate? Any of this resonates? You're in an abusive relationship. Some of it relates to you, some doesn't. Comment below. Love to hear from you. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I really do appreciate it.